to Bossed Up Academy, where you can get all your business and real estate needs. Tonight, I have Dr. Tara Staten Glover. Tara, could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you so much, Miss Erica. My name is Dr. Tara Staten Glover. I am a chiropractor in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Also kind of delving in the holistic realm. I have been a chiropractor since 2002, so I'm rolling up on my 21st anniversary. And I just love helping people. I love getting people better. I love people living their best life. So that is the joy that I get from my healing hands.
Okay, thank you for that introduction. So, what we're going to do now is let Facebook build our audience, and we'll be right back.
All right.
All right, thank you so much. So, you say 21 years?
21 years. I've been a chiropractor since October of 2002.
Oh, wow. I mean, time really rose when I guess you having fun. I remember, was Lancaster your first job?
No, actually, I started in Durham, North Carolina at a little chiropractic office on Broad Street. And then I came to Charlotte and worked for a lady for about, I would say about 6 months. And then the opportunity in Lancaster came up, and I was down there for 4 years.
Okay. And that's where I know you from, Lancaster.
Yes. Lancaster is very colorful. I used to love working down there.
Oh, okay. So now, fast forward to 2023. What are you doing now and what's going on?
Okay, so since 21 years ago, I have gotten married and had a daughter, and I have two older boys who are now in college. One is at North Carolina A&T, Aggie Pride, and one is in Newark, New Jersey, at Rutgers, Newark. I have moved a couple of times in Charlotte, but I have had my own practice there since 2008. And now I am in a location. I've been there for about 5 years, and I just do my chiropractic, do my holistic, and then I also do the holistic functioning.
Okay, so have you been doing the holistic functioning the entire time, or how has that kind of?
You know what? I have not. When I was in school, we were a strictly chiropractic school. The president of the school made sure that we were strictly chiropractic. He did have to add in some PT at the end. But since then, the graduates who came out, I would say probably 5 or 6 years after me, there was a dedication to the holistic portion because it's helping the whole individual to get better. And so for about 7 or 8 years, I have been into that realm. It's very exciting. The patients that I can't get quite better with chiropractic, sometimes if I can get that inflammation level down, it gets better with the holistic portion. So I found that it's needed in the practice.
So how long have you been doing that?
Oh, about 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so now, so you don't just offer chiropractic service, because I know most of the time when people think about a chiropractor, they think about car wreck.
Well, I do get car accidents and motor vehicle accidents, but I found that a lot of my patients decide to stay after that because they understand how important it is to keep that musculoskeletal system and your nervous system healthy. Your nervous system controls everything in the body. So when there's any misalignment there, then you can have problems in the muscles, which is 97% of what you feel, but you can also have problems with those nerves that go to the front which go to the esophagus, your stomach, your digestive system, your liver. All of those organs are controlled by your nervous system, but it's more your sympathetic nervous system.
Okay. So you see the whole person and not just their back, as most people think about when you think about a chiropractor, right? So
And
you are working on your overall wellness, which sets you apart from a lot of chiropractic offices that may not offer the holistic approach.
yes, yes. And those chiropractic offices also get people well. I was getting people well before that. But because a lot of us are African American, I just saw the chronic disease that we were having in the community, and how people, whenever they tell me they have high blood pressure, they say, "But my mama and daddy had it, so I have it." And so that's not true all the time. It doesn't have to be true. Sometimes you can turn that stuff on. And so when you see people getting an adjustment, but they're still suffering physically, then I felt the need to have to do something else to help them, or at least educate them on things that they can do to help themselves.
Generally people think about generational curses as being, something bad or dealing with wealth. When you hear we're breaking generational curses, but you're actually breaking generational curses by saying just because your mama had diabetes, it's not okay for you to accept a diagnosis of diabetes, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Well, what you're hearing is that most of us have type 2 diabetes. So, type 2 diabetes means that your pancreas stopped working because of probably your sugar intake. And so we have so much sugar. Most people are getting their daily allowance of sugar at breakfast, because our breakfasts are sugary. We have cinnamon buns, we have cereals, which are horrible for you. Just it's just not the bread and all those things. And so what happens is you've eaten a whole bunch of sugar for breakfast, you eat a whole bunch for lunch, and so your pancreas is having to work real hard and then stop, and then work real hard and then stop. And after years of that, it just gets tired. And so that's where you develop type 2 diabetes. And a lot of women have what we call blood sugar dysregulation, which can lead to PCOS. It can just be a systemic problem. And so, when I tell people about eating healthy and eating clean, I mean that. I mean that you have to do that to be a well-rounded individual and to not have these problems, because they lead to dysregulation and dysfunction, which leads to disease.
Now, in your business, do you take does this approach, is it covered through medical insurance, or how does, because a lot of times, people may or may not have payment or payment options.
Yes. So we do not accept insurance for that. Insurance wants to keep you in a certain place. I have my own thoughts about insurance. They're not really interested in making you well, they just want you to coast along. And so, HSA, we do accept HSA and FSA for the holistic portion and the chiropractic portion. But my chiropractic, I am on the insurance plans for that. So no, insurance doesn't take care of that.
But it does take care of the chiropractic services,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So
If
it's
your
not like
insurance covers it, then
if
yes.
your insurance covers, depending on your plan
Yes, depending on your plan.
and the network and all of that stuff, right?
Yes, all of that.
So some of the services can be done, but then if you're going to feel better and be a overall better person, it's some things that money can't buy, and you will happily spend your money on, right?
I would happily spend my money on that. I happily spend my money on good food too. And it's all about your priorities. Will you go out to an expensive dinner and pay that, $250, $300? But when someone tells you to go buy, bone broth protein to help with your gut, when they go tell you about organic foods, organic meats, organic cheese, and all that stuff, it's about your priorities. So, is that important to you? Is it important for you to be healthy for your kids in 10 to 15 years? Is it important for you to still be able to move? You know, it's just what your priorities are. So I feel like I'm very cheap, to tell you the truth, for what you would get out of it. Most people lose weight. I had a man lose 45 pounds with me. A lady that I just started about 8 weeks ago, she's lost a pound a week. She feels better. Her face looks brighter. She's moving better. So, you know, good things happen when you take care of yourself and when you do the things you're supposed to do. So, no, it doesn't, but you can either stay sick or you can decide to get better.
Right. So when you doing the holistic approach, what kind of things are all involved in that?
So usually when we first start someone up, they're going to fill out a long questionnaire because I want to know how many fillings you have in your mouth for stuff like metal toxicity. I want to know your menstrual cycle. Like how long is it? How short is it? Are there any issues with that? Have you ever been on birth control for a short period, a long period of time? I want to know a lot of things. Do you have headaches all the time? You know, are you having hot sweats, hot flashes, things like that, things that, you know, they don't pay attention to. And so from that information, I can kind of tell what type of testing you may need. So the biggest test that we do is the food allergy testing because by far the biggest toxin that people put in their body most of the time is food. And so most people don't know, you know, the foods with the most allergies or more allergy prone are going to be eggs, dairy, sugar, gluten, corn, which is mostly genetically modified. And so those are the things that we really want to test. Some people are allergic to spinach and don't know it. So it's just the gamut. So every time you eat that food that you're allergic to, your stomach kind of, I explain it, if you get a cut on your arm but you keep messing with it, that's how your digestive system is. It starts to open up and you start to have inflammatory processes start in there. And so that's the biggest thing for me is just finding out what you're supposed to eat. Now, are there ways that you can change your diet without getting food testing? Yes. You can do the elimination diet, which takes out all of those allergens. And then after 21 days, you add them back in 1 day, one week at a time and just kind of see what your body does. Sometimes people need to keep them out. Sometimes if they get better, they can go back in. So that's the first test that I usually do. And the second test, I don't like to load people up on tests because they are cash. The second test I usually do is going to be something that I've seen in your blood work. Am I going to do a cardiovascular panel? Am I going to do a hormone panel? Am I going to do a thyroid panel? Am I going to do a stool test for your GI system? So that is the thought process that I have. But once we get that GI system right, your immune system is going to function better because 80% of that is in your gut. 80% of your hormones are made there, and a large majority of your thyroid hormone is made there. So the gut is really, really important. Did
Okay.
that answer your question?
Yeah. So you'll do like two tests up front, generally that you have, and then you'll get the questionnaire so that way you can better understand what things that are currently going on and things that you have in the past. As
Yeah.
such as, you was talking about down to how many fillings you have in your mouth to see the whole person as for the holistic part,
For
right?
the
That's
holistic
part
part.
of why it's called whole. That you want to
Yeah.
see the whole picture, everything.
Yes, because I'm kind of like a detective. You know, most of the people who come to me have already done the conventional medical center, but they still don't feel well. And so once they come to me, you know, they have done everything. So I have to see what have they done that may be missing. And so metal toxicity, mold toxicity, viruses that can attack your body and stay in your body or lay dormant. Those are some of the things that people have that makes them feel bad, but they're not going to find it if they go to the conventional doctor.
Okay, we have a question. Do you treat patients with chronic inflammatory response syndrome?
Yes, so inflammation is the biggest thing that we do. That's what we're trying to rid the body of. And so, the way that we do that is through three things. We take the toxins out, which we talked about that. So, there are toxins that you take in your body, and there are also toxins that are environmental. So, that means the things in your house that you're using, the cleaning products, the detergent, the soap you're using, the toothpaste you're using, the shampoo you're using, things like that. So we have to look at that, as well as, like I said, if you have any metal, any vaccinations you've taken, we look at that history to see if we need to test for any metal toxicity. The second thing is thoughts. So stress can kill you faster than anything else. And thoughts or stress can make you have a stress reaction, which releases cortisol. And I know most people have heard of cortisol. So the adrenals make the cortisol. And so that can make a whole nother gut there because you're stressed out. And so adaptogens, anybody can get that. Ashwagandha is a great one. And so those things can help if there's not anything going on with your HPA axis or anything like that. So that's how your hypothalamus and your pituitary and your adrenals all kind of talk to each other. And so because of stress, they can kind of stop talking to each other because of the cortisol. And then the last thing is trauma. And so that's what the chiropractor does. Chiropractors usually deal with the trauma from football or, just anything that's alignment issues. But the nervous system controls everything. So we want to make sure that's clear. So that's how we would, encounter the inflammatory process.
Now we have another one here from Mr. Glover. How about exercises and staying active?
So my husband's funny because he is the reason why I work out all the time. And so I started working out consistently when I turned 40 years old. And so now I'm 47. I work out. We work out pretty much 3 to 4 times a week. And we try to eat well. We try to have a very active lifestyle and we try to make sure that our blood markers are right. So, yes, exercises are very important. Of course, I would have to talk to people individually to see what type of exercises they need. But of course, we give cervical, thoracic, lumbar exercises. We give exercises for the hip flexors, everything. So yes, it's very important to have exercise and be active generally, but also if we're having issues, then to have rehab and strengthening type of exercises too. So great question, Mr. Glover.
So do you offer personal training services? Because I see all your workout videos.
So I am in the process of becoming a certified personal trainer, but I can give exercises out to help out with what I do too. So that will kind of round me out, I feel like, because I'll be able to give the holistic advice as well as the exercise, as well as the diet. And so those are the three things that you need in order to be a healthy individual.
Okay. So with that being said, that you can help with the physical aspect, but then you were talking about stress. So, does some of the holistic approach that you use deal with the mental aspect as well?
Yeah. So when you go to a holistic practitioner, they're usually going to, it's like a coach. And so, of course, we're going to supplement if needed, if the blood work says that we should supplement. But the big things for us are to slow down. And I know Miss Erica don't want to slow down, but I mean, you have to get your proper amount of sleep. It has to be good quality sleep. It needs to be at the same time every night. You need to cut off all the electronics at least 2 hours before you go to bed. You don't need to be eating right before bed, that kind of stuff. Meditation, um, affirmations, just time for yourself in the morning can help you to kind of release some of that stress. So there are certain portions of your life that we have to help. And so that's why, it can take a little while, but there are things that we need to do for stress. COVID stressed us out. I think that the new illness that the CDC is talking about is loneliness. And why would loneliness be an issue for the CDC? That's because when that stress and that mental part get to you, it can affect you physiologically. So,
So, a lot of our audience is business owners,
yeah,
and some of them do not have insurance. So, sometimes people feel like they are healthy and they don't need health insurance. So, this approach may be something that they may want to lean towards, especially if they're making cash payments to medical, I mean, for traditional physician that's under traditional care, right?
right. So the only times that I really go to my primary care physician would be for my yearly physicals, and that's because of the blood work. I don't have to pay for the blood work with that. So I can look at that blood work and kind of see where I need to go if I need to do anything. And also, the screenings. So that is what I feel like insurance is for healthcare. And so what we're realizing now is that we have more of a sick care system than a healthcare system. They do look at preventive measures, but when a person has a heart attack, I want you to go to and call 911, go to the hospital, and for them to get you right. But what led you to that heart attack? That's when the medicines and all those things, yes, take it for a time, but you have to figure out what you need to do differently this time. You can go in for the acute illnesses, get them to treat you, keep you alive, but then after that, you got to change something. Something has to change. And so, yeah, I mean, like I said, we just do the screenings. This is our health care, is the holistic care.
Now, do you treat people with natural herbs, or do you actually have prescriptions that you prescribe to people, or a mixture of both?
Most people do not need a prescription. There are natural antibiotics. There's natural everything. There's an option. But for instance, in the stool test, let's say, in your gut, you have what we call a microbiome, which is just a combination of good bacteria, bad bacteria, and yeast. All of that together makes up your microbiome. But because of the things we eat, it tears it down. And so, if your bacteria is so bad in your gut, in our Genova test, they will say that at the end. Like they'll tell what did they treat the bacteria with to help us to lead you in the right direction. So most of the time it's something like wormwood, caprylic acid, or something like that. But sometimes it can be a prescription. And if so, I will refer the person out so that they can get the prescription. And then they would need to just come back and we do what we need to do after that. So
Okay.
the answer is most of the time it's not a prescription, but sometimes it can be a needed prescription, and that happens maybe once out of every 200, 300 patients. So it's not very often that happens.
And I've seen where some people, when you were talking about some of your success stories of people being able to become more active after you've helped them remove some of the inflammation, um, on that, how does people transition their mind to say, or to figure out that they're moving from prescription drugs to a holistic approach?
So the
You're
same man
already
who
on prescription.
Okay, so the same man that lost the 45 pounds, he came into me for his immune system because we were in COVID. And so, to get any system well, you just have to take the inflammation out of the body, take out all your triggers, and just give the body what it needs. Now, he also got off of his high blood pressure medication. He was 67 years old. had been on that medication for over 10 years. So we regulated his blood pressure. And an aside is that his testosterone went up from 300 to about 670. Now, for a man that age, he was happy. So there, when you let the body, when you give the body the right things, it will do what you want it to do. So yeah, he got off his medication. That wasn't a goal of his, but we were able to do that.
Now, so did he go back to his primary care physician, and the primary care physician like, wow, you're doing wonderful?
I
And
know. Yes, he did. He did because he could go for his yearly visit. And so we just did the food allergy testing. And I think he did a Dutch test. And so he did go back for that yearly test because I'm not going to charge you for something you can get for free. And so when the doctor saw that, he was like, well, good gracious, we can take you off of your high blood pressure medication. But he did the work too. And so this isn't something that's easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it. You have to kind of change your taste buds. You have to be disciplined. You have to eat what I tell you to eat. So, I am country. I love sweet stuff too, but I I can't eat it because when I see sugar like that, I kind of see death and illness. When other people see sugar and artificial color and cookies and stuff, they don't see that. But see, I see what it does to us as a population, and it's just not worth it to me. Now, will I eat a piece of pound cake at Christmas and Thanksgiving? Yes. Am I going to eat some collard greens and some mac and cheese? Yes, but it's not going to be an everyday occurrence. And I usually don't feel that well after I do it.
so, what do you think is the biggest thing to transform this mindset from traditional medicine to holistic?
Well, I mean, you said the magic word. It is a change in mindset. It's a change from the microwave society that we have. I want to go and I want to feel better and let me take this pill. When 8 times out of 10 they don't feel better with the pill, but they'll still take it because it's work to do what I'm asking you to do. But I mean, Whole Foods is where it's at. These man-made foods, these processed foods, they're killing us slowly. I feel like Lauren Hill. They're killing us slowly. We're just letting them do it. Getting that stuff that can sit on the shelf for a year or two. Do you really think that God intended for us to eat that stuff as our primary diet? I mean, it's just you have to shift your mindset. It's almost like the Matrix. Like I see things differently, and once you start feeling better, then you'll see things differently too. But you gotta do the work, and then once you do the work, and then you start eating those things, you'll be like, this is not worth it to me. It's just not worth it.
And so you're acting as that coach to get that person to that level.
Yes. So over the years, I've kind of learned that, of course, people don't see things the way I do. And so that's why I had to add in a nutritional component. Because when I would tell people, okay, the food allergy test comes with the things you can't eat in red, and then everything else you can eat, other than the inflammatory things like the sugar, the processed food, the dairy, and all that stuff. And so a lady came back to me and she said, well, what do I eat? And I said, well, I'm giving you something to pick out your protein, pick out you a carb, pick out some healthy fats. Just pick out 2 meats a week, pick out 4 vegetables, and that's what your grocery list is going to do. From this list, just pick those things out. And she still didn't know what to eat. And so I had to back it up and say, you know what? This stuff. But this is a new life for some people, who would pick up a pack of macaroni and cheese at the grocery store, pick you up some of those big old chicken legs that they have at the grocery store that got all these hormones and antibiotics in it. And then you pick up some canned veggies. and you calling it a day when it's not. So you have to kind of change your mind. You have to change your mindset. Like, why do I have to buy organic? I don't want to buy organic. You have to buy organic because these farmers have to do things fast. They have to make these chickens grow in like 36 days or whatever it is. I'm making that up. But they have to make these chickens grow. The legs on these chickens are this big. The legs we get on our chicken are like this big. Where's because they don't have all that stuff. So every time you ingest an animal that has had antibiotics given to them, you're killing your microbiome. You're killing your gut every time. And so think about it. People do that every day. Every day. Anytime you get the ones with the hormones, you're messing your hormones up. And that's not to mention the birth control that's messing hormones up, that's being prescribed for migraines and skin conditions and all those things. When if it's a skin condition, it's usually from the gut too. So you have to kind of change your perception, change your mindset, and it'll take a little bit of time. You'll be mad with me because who wants, I mean, but we can make food taste so good. We got the rainbow of fruits and vegetables. You can make your own dressing. Like you can make it fun.
Yep. So Hannah Campbell says, so true. We have to change our perception. And then we have another comment from, I guess it's Dwayne, Mr. Thomas. Dr. Staten Glover is an awesome provider. She's concerned about you as a whole individual. Plus, she is fun, loving, and funny, and will be real with you.
I will be real with you. If you come in and you got a little bit of weight on you, and you keep on coming in for that sacrum, then I'm going to tell you, you might as well just go on and make a standing appointment because no matter how many times I move that sacrum, if you don't lose this weight that's not for your body, then it's going to continue to go out. And so that's hard for people to hear sometimes. Everyone's beautiful just the way they are. But sometimes you have to make sure that you're healthy inside so that you can be healthy outside.
And a lot of people are just running at a high volume and they're not taking that time that's needed to make these things happen. And they need someone like you that can look at the whole person, the whole body, and get them together.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, they do. We just have we're just not going in the right direction as far as what we put in our bodies to nourish our bodies. Even some of the vitamins that we get, are full of fillers. They're not doing what they need to do. And as a holistic practitioner, I also don't like when people, okay, so I have this illness, let me get this supplement. Okay, I have this, let me get this supplement. I don't like that either because you're just doing the same thing that a medical doctor would do. You're just throwing a medicine at it without figuring out what's triggering it. For example, thyroid issues are usually not primary thyroid issues. It's secondary to your gut not being healthy or your liver not being healthy. And of course, if we're taking all these toxins in, then that liver is overwhelmed. And so it deals with cholesterol, it deals with detoxification, methylation of the hormones. So, it's a lot. It's a lot.
But I hear every time, and you keep going back to the gut, the gut, the
Yeah.
gut, the gut.
Yeah. And so that's whoever comes in usually, unless it's something that they don't have any gut issues, they're pooping the way they should, their poop looks like it should, and they're not having any issues there. Some people are like that, and then we'll go someplace else. But for the most part, if you're not doing what you're supposed to and you're eating these things and you're putting these things in your body, then your gut is going to need some help. I mean, think of colorectal cancer. They decreased the age for screening, and people are getting it younger and younger. Why do you think that's happening? Are all the genes just changing earlier? Or is it because some of these kids and adults were raised on, you know, Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, and they're not getting those nourishing meals that maybe our parents might have made for us. So you have to reach people where they are. It's not normal now to sit down and make a grocery list and go to the grocery store and then have your meals ready for you. It's not rare now to go to McDonald's or go to Chick-fil-A. When I was little, we would go to McDonald's maybe once or twice a month. These kids are going to these restaurants every day. And then they're, putting a sweet over it. So that's the difference.
So I did want to get into, because we do talk about businesses on
Yes.
here, how people can partner with your business to expand their business.
Yes. So there are multidisciplinary practices where you might have a massage therapist to help with the muscle component of what I do. So I do a lot of muscle work, which Mr. Dwayne can attest to, before I do the adjustment, because I feel like that's important to get that muscle to relax before I go in and try to move the bone. And of course, after that, strengthening it. So there are a lot of areas that I can work with people. I go to a stretch guy now. That's an area that I could work with. Massage therapists, nurse practitioners. Um, what else? There are even body contouring people, which I want you to do it the right way. But if that stomach's still not coming off, that's an option too. So, but yeah, there are a lot of areas that we can expand like that, and that's next level thinking there, Erica, is expanding like that.
So, but you would just be interested in partnering with certain people if they met your criteria, correct?
Correct. So the massage therapist would have to be therapeutic in nature, like lymphatic drainage, just helping out in that way. So it would have to be something that would add to my adjustments.
Okay, because now, and what came to mind was, now with so many people, when you were talking about the body contouring and the lymphatic massages, because now cosmetic surgery is a big thing, and you're seeing people botched and different things like that, but a lot of it is coming from being inflamed and not getting it out to maximize their results.
Exactly, exactly. Cosmetic surgery, of course, has its place, and I'm not against it. For women who have been pregnant and have diastasis recti, which means that your abdominal muscles have split down the middle, and then you kind of have a curtain. Um, you can do as much exercise as anybody. And unless you kind of tackle that about 6 to 8 weeks after the baby, then you will have to have that surgically repaired. Things like that, that's fine. But after you have that cosmetic surgery, if you are eating improperly, you're not exercising, then that cosmetic surgery is going to disappear. And then you have to have another one because it's not going to keep you from gaining weight. It's not going to keep you toned. It just helps you to get to a certain place. The rest is up to you. So yeah, as a last resort, I would say plastic surgery is great, but you need to be a healthy person to get it.
Well, I was just talking about part of being a part of the aftercare, because I
Oh,
interviewed for a few weeks ago. I interviewed a post-op person that was talking about how they were expanding their business and being able to give that aftercare when they have a lot of inflammation, a lot
oh
of
yeah,
things, and and they needed to exit their body.
yeah,
So they would, some of the people that are in the post-op world, and the reason I brought it up, because they're saying now cosmetic and beauty industry is a trillion-dollar, pretty much over billion-dollar industry
Yes,
now.
it is.
And a part of looking good is feeling good, which goes hand in hand.
Yes. So you're talking about post-op.
Right.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, lymphatic drainage is very important. The ports, making sure that you're not moving and breaking the stitches and things like that. So yeah, that is important afterwards, and then getting healthy afterwards, like you were saying. So yes.
With the information. So you could partner with, just do a recap of those people that may want to, offer more services, because the more you become a one stop shop, then these people don't have to go these different places. And then you can partner with these people and they can offer more services, and essentially everybody makes more money by being in a
Exactly.
specialty area, because you can be, what I say, jack of all trade, master of none, or you can have the masters working with you to
Together.
provide better services.
Yes, that's a great idea, actually. Yes, definitely. I hadn't thought about the post-op, so that's a good idea.
Okay. So, what else do you think that people should know about the holistic world, that is like, that people just don't know, but they really need the information that you've seen that the world is lacking?
Yes. So, I think the biggest thing is to have an open mind and to, kind of be able to break from your normal mindset. Know that eating properly is not the weird or the rare thing that you're supposed to be doing. It should be the normal. And the people who are eating poorly, that should not be the norm. So just kind of taking yourself out of there, finding what's good. We eat good food around here. It's not anything that doesn't taste good, tastes like cardboard. You can really, really fix this food up to be what you want it to be, and you'll feel better while doing it. You'll lose weight while doing it. You won't have all those needs for prescription medications and that kind of stuff. You can get off some of those medications, and like you said, break generational curses. Just because your mama had thyroid issues doesn't mean you have to have thyroid issues. There is a genetic component, but you have to turn it on most of the time. Just because your parents had diabetes doesn't mean you have to have that. Just because they had heart disease or high cholesterol, that does not mean you have to have that. So stop doing the wrong thing and then taking that so easily. Let's work to be better for our children so that they won't do that. We have obesity as an issue in this country for some reason. There's plaquing of the arteries in 14 and 15-year-olds now because of the way they've been eating. We really, really have to look to change the way we think, the way we're raising our children, how active we are. Exercising shouldn't be something that I have to beg people to do 30 minutes a day. Like I have to start out saying, can we just walk 30 minutes a day in totality? So you can do 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. Park a little further from Chick-fil-A, at least when you. But see, if I don't exercise, I don't feel good. And that can be everybody if they would just make it a habit. And so this behavior is about positive reinforcement and making habits become your lifestyle.
Now, when you were talking about eating good around here, but what about those people that don't have time to cook or to go to Whole Foods?
Okay.
What are some
Well,
things?
first of all, you can order the Whole Foods and pick it up. And I think they might have it so it can be delivered. I'm not quite sure because I don't like for people to pick out my produce. I like to pick out my produce. So there are things for busy people to do. You can get some chicken breast, beat those things down, put your little good seasoning on it. You can put that same seasoning on asparagus, broccoli. You can roast some carrots. For your carb, you can have quinoa or couscous or cauliflower rice or what's some other type of rices? They have all types of stuff that doesn't take long. You don't have to be in the kitchen all day like Big Mama. You can literally make your food for 2 to 3 days for a couple of hours on Sunday. It's really not that hard. It's just that you have to plan. And so that's where you miss a lot of people, is because they're like, oh, it's so easy just to go out to this restaurant or do this. And we like to eat out too. We just try not to make it so much of a habit. My husband is Ghanaian. And so I think that a lot of the reason why we are so much better, because we like to eat, is because a lot of the dishes that he makes are stews. And you know, with a stew, you have to cook the meat for at least an hour, hour and a half or so. And so that turns into like a makeshift bone broth. Bone broth is very nourishing for your gut. So, you know, it's just figuring out what's good for you. And I'm sure, Erica, if you needed to, you could have a service to make your food.
Do you
You
have
could.
one that do you partner with one or have one that you partner with?
You know what? I told my husband the other day, there's a I don't know her name, but I met her through a friend of mine. She just opened up a place called, I think, Project Lean. But I am going to go talk to her for the people who don't feel like they don't have time to make their meals. And
Or
so,
don't want to have the time?
or don't want to have the time. And I mean, they can make it where you have the right combination of carbs, proteins, healthy fats, you know, for what you want to do as far as losing weight, gaining weight, staying the way you are. So they are helpful. I just like to make my own food.
Kish said, ditto.
Lakeisha.
Now I heard you saying something about younger adults. So do you see any age group, or do you have a age that you start with?
There are, unfortunately, there are sick people now of every age. I had a little boy come in with migraines a couple of weeks ago. Now, he didn't come in for holistic care, he just came in for the chiropractic. A lot of young women are having hormone issues because they've been on birth control too long, and they don't adequately test the hormones before they put you on birth control. So they have those issues, as well as the stress that goes along with being a young person today with social media and just the technology that we have. So people are getting sicker earlier now. And so, you know, we'll see that in the next couple of years. Infertility is up. And so you're not going to tell me that there's not a connection between the inflammation going on and the infertility that's going on too. So yeah, you know, it can happen. I've seen other holistic practitioners work with these women and get them pregnant when the doctors didn't feel like they could get pregnant. So being healthy is definitely the thing to do.
Okay, so you basically see people of all ages.
Yes.
Okay. And it doesn't matter gender, none of that matters.
Mm-mm. Now, my most of my patients are going to be women about 35 to 50 in my age group. But yeah, there are other people. I will see everybody, but that is usually the age. And then they bring in their husbands and children. So that's usually the first point of contact. And then once they get better, then they'll want, drag their husband in or their significant other.
Now, I noticed that you do a lot of videos on your chiropractic page. Even though I know on Instagram, I see you working, I'm like, man, her stomach is so flat. She is pushing that stuff around, that sled, or whatever you're doing. But
Yeah.
I noticed that you do a lot of videos on Facebook under your chiropractic page. It's the ones that I see. So tell us a little bit about those videos and why people need to follow you on Facebook to get that information.
Well, I started Staten Chiropractic and Wellness Center. Well, the website, not the website, but the page in 2009. And so I have been kind of up and down because I'm not from a generation where social media was it. So I'm still having a hard time making sure to do it because people do want to see that information. So yeah, I try to make sure that some of the working out gets on there, the chiropractic gets on there, as well as the nutritional advice. Because sometimes people will follow you for a year or two before they decide to reach out, and you never know what you may say that can touch somebody or help them or lead them in the right direction. So I do a little bit of everything because my practice is a little bit of everything. And so I was thinking the other day about what my passion was. And I feel like my passion is to teach people how to be healthier. That's my whole point. I just want people to know that there is a way that you can feel good, and you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to be overweight if you don't want to. You don't have to, have stomach aches or headaches or skin issues. You don't have to have those things. There is a reason why you have them, and so that's my way of kind of giving back. I think is that I've always been told I have healing hands, but I just want people to kind of change their mindset.
We have a really good question here, and this is an awesome question because people that are, with the social media, you can expand to all over to
Yeah.
see people. They saying after a patient is established, will you offer virtual appointments to that person where they don't actually have to travel to your office?
Yes. So I do have a platform called Get Healthy, and you can make your appointments through there. You can fill out your paperwork on there. You can chat with me on there, and we do have virtual appointments available. So we can send you your test kits. We can do everything online for that. Of course, I can't do that with chiropractic, but but with the holistic, we can do that 100%. I kind of like to see the person first, so if they are close enough, then I would like them to come into the office at least that first time, so I can, do some measurements, look at them very closely, do an examination in person. But then after that, they can get on their appointments virtually.
Okay. After this, could you put in the comment section of this live, and so I can pin it to the top, that actual, or if you put it in the private chat and I'll just copy where they can book online to
Okay.
actually start with you. And then that way, like you said, if they can just at least come in for the first visit and then afterwards, maybe do the virtual if if distance is an issue.
Okay, so technologically, I am a little off. So I'm going to put my email address, and all they have to do is email me, and I will email them everything they need to be able to establish on there.
Okay. That
Okay.
sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I will do that. I'm still listening. Can
Oh,
you see
okay.
me?
Yes, I can still see you.
Okay.
So, also it is tell the name again of your Facebook fan page.
Okay, so it is Staten Cairo. That's on Facebook. S as in Sam, T is in Tom, E is in Edward, N is in Nancy, Cairo, Chiro. And you want my Instagram too?
Yes.
My Instagram is Fit Dr. Tara. So that's FITDRTARA.
Okay. And now on your Instagram is mostly exercises, or do you do a combination of both? Because I know that most of the things I see are exercises.
Yes, I've started adding in some nutrition stuff and the adjustments because because of TikTok, these young kids like to see the adjustments and hear the pops. So I try to give them a little bit of what they want to, so that they can show their parents how to use Instagram. But yeah, so I've tried to make it a little bit more varied. I try to give a workout just in case somebody wants to go work out that day. They can kind of do what I did. And then also, I like today I posted quick family dinner ideas, as well as the workout.
Now I heard you mention TikTok, so you on TikTok?
Well, my daughter and I dibbled and dabbled in it, but it's I just don't have time to learn those dances. So we would have to figure out a way to do that. We would have to take like 20 cuts. I don't that takes too long. But yeah, she would love for me to do TikTok with her. But we do have a page on there.
Oh, okay. And what's your TikTok?
Uh Girl, I can't even remember right now.
And now some people, I heard some. I was talking to somebody over the weekend. They and their kid was, wanting to do TikTok, and they was just saying. So they said now I just started posting the bloopers.
Listen.
They said they were tired of waiting 20 takes to get it right. So she said I just started posting bloopers.
Well, maybe we'll start doing that. And if we can, because I want to do that best friend with her. This is my best friend. So I told her we're going to do that one the next time. So I'll just do the bloopers and I can do that really quickly.
That's what the person was telling me. It was like I just made up my mind. We're gonna do the bloopers. If I'm tired, I'm not gonna go 20 times. If I done went 5 or 10, they gonna might get the bloopers.
But that's not including the time to learn the dance.
Right.
So I mean, we could really be up there an hour just to post one video.
Well, thank you. Can you believe we've been on here for a whole hour?
I cannot believe that.
Yep. But it's been awesome. A lot of information. And actually, I started my gut journey, 6, 8 months ago, and I never finished it. And I mean, not only tonight of you recapping over and over about the whole gut, issue and stress in your gut and these different hormones. But I've been hearing it's been the buzz around me everywhere. And that was why I initially reached out. But now today it's come full circle that I need to revisit that because I want to be on the proactive side rather than the reactive side in my health journey. And I don't want to wait until I am threatening to be a diabetic or threatening a stroke or a heart attack. I do want to be proactive and stay healthy as long as I possibly can. And like I said, that gut health. And now that I know that this all encompasses with weight loss, which I'm trying.
Well, that's why people are going to come into me is for the weight loss. That other stuff is just a good benefit that you're healthy. But people want to look good,
Right.
Yes.
And those adjustments, when you were telling me that it takes like some of the things that you do take like 30 minutes, I just know that when I was going to the chiropractor before to get adjustments, probably 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're out
those, I just can't do 5 or 10 minute adjustments, but there are many chiropractors that do that. I have to feel each patient and do what I'm supposed to do with them.
And then I've been learning more about the lymphatic system and flushing the toxins out of your body by going to the bathroom more and stuff like that will really, make a difference not only in weight loss but how you feel mentally.
Oh yes, yes. Well, there is a gut brain connection, which I'm sure you've heard of that too. I said earlier that 80% of your neurotransmitters are made in the gut. So if your serotonin is off, you will not feel well. And so helping with that can also help with the mental aspect too. Anxiety, those types of things.
Because then if you get burnout, you're not good for yourself or anybody around you or your business or anything. So you gotta maintain your physical and mental health above all things.
Yeah, that stress ruins your immune system. So you'll be prone to a lot of stuff. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again for being on here. And I put the email address in the comments so then that way they can email you and then receive an email back with the information to set up to look at getting an appointment, in person and then establishing a relationship and then moving forward with the virtual appointments.
Yes, that sounds great. I'll be looking forward to getting the emails and I will send them to the website.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on